Hi everybody! Today I'm making a trendy buttercream flower cake that has rosettes and flowers circling the center. This cake was so incredibly simple and easy to make. Let's get started. To begin, I'm wiping some buttercream on my board and then I start layering up my cakes. The recipe I'm using is an extended cake mix recipe and I will put the link to it in the description box. I baked 3 8-inch round cakes which I've already leveled and torted. Okay, to fill the cake, I start by piping a buttercream dam, and then I add spoonfuls of buttercream, and then I smooth it out with my offset spatula. I like making a buttercream dam to ensure that all the layers are perfectly equal in size. And I continue adding cake and buttercream until I have 4 cake layers and 3 layers of buttercream frosting. At this point, I didn't want to go any higher because I didn't want to risk it collapsing, so I added 4 plastic straws so I could stack it just a little bit higher. Once I had the dowels into place, I added a cardboard circle, and then I continued adding 2 more layers of cake and 1 layer of buttercream frosting. My cake is a little over 6 inches tall right now. Next, using my offset spatula, I smooth out the sides and then I add more buttercream to the outside of the cake to pick up any of those pesky crumbs. And then I begin covering it in buttercream that I have colored a light gray color. Just use an offset spatula to smooth that out the best that you can. Once I have the top covered, I move on to the sides. It doesn't have to be perfect just yet, but you do need a nice and thick layer. Okay, next I'm using a metal icing comb that I bought from Esther's. It's called a sweet slot comb, and I will put a link to that below just in case you are interested in getting one for yourself. And I'm holding the icing comb against the cake, and then I'm scraping away the middle section. I went around the first time, taking off just a little bit, and then I went around it again. You really need a thick layer of buttercream on the top and bottom edge, so I added more and I continued scraping. You want to make sure there isn't a gap between the icing comb and the icing itself to ensure you get a nice sharp edge. See how there's a gap here? To fix that, I added more buttercream and continued scraping until I was happy with it. And then I popped it into the refrigerator to chill until the icing had hardened. Once it was nice and cold, I added another thin layer of buttercream to smooth out that top, and I used a larger offset spatula to help smooth it out too. And I did the same for my sides. It really doesn't have to be perfect since I'm going for a more rustic cement look. Next, I'm adding some little swipes of darker gray buttercream. I went with a dark gray and a medium shade of gray just to mix it up a little bit. Just randomly add dollops of colored frosting all over the sides and the top. Using an acrylic smoother, I scraped the sides of the cake, which mixed all my gray colors up and gave it a nice concrete look. And then I went back to my metal comb to mix the colors more. You can actually use any icing smoother that you have or whatever you're comfortable with. Next, I went back over it with my Esther's comb to get those sharp edges right along the middle edge. You can leave the top edge as is, but I wanted this one to have a sharp edge top, so I'm using my offset spatula to scrape that top buttercream away. Here comes the fun part, the beautiful flowers. The first flowers are called rosettes. I just love these because they're elegant but also super easy. I'm using an Ateco tip number 8CS, but you could also use a Wilton star tip. My next flowers are two-toned, so I'm first wiping a rectangle of light pink buttercream frosting onto a piece of plastic wrap. And then I wipe a thin stripe of darker pink buttercream right down the center of the rectangle. I pull the sides of the plastic wrap together to roll it up, and then I twist the 2 ends, and then I cut off 1 end. This is my piping bag, which I've already placed a Russian piping tip on the end, and then I place my buttercream inside the bag. I practice a few flowers and then I move over onto my cake. The Russian piping tips make for a beautiful flower. There are all different kinds of Russian piping tips that you can purchase. I just love these because they're so easy. Next up, I'm adding some greenery and flower buds. Here I'm using a combination of Wilton tip 10 and 12, and I'm piping some different size green dots. Once I've filled in most of the open spaces with green dots, I'm going back over them with white buttercream, piping dots using Wilton tip number 3. And lastly, I'm filling in any open spaces with a buttercream leaf using Wilton tip number 366. All finished with my trendy buttercream flowers cake. If you have any ideas or suggestions for me, please let me know down in the comment section below. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.